Hey everyone, welcome to the Foxy and Craig Show. Today we're going to talk about the 10 questions, or I should say I'm going to answer the 10 questions I get asked the most about Foxy. So without further ado, let's get to the questions. Number 1, what kind of dog is Foxy? Foxy is a long-haired German Shepherd. Her roots go back to Czechoslovakia and Germany. Number 2, how old is Foxy? Foxy is 6.5 years old, or young. Number 3, who trained Foxy? Well, if Foxy had her vest on today, you'd be able to see, but she was trained by Guardian Angels Medical Service Dogs, and I've left a link to their website in the description below. How long is her training, or how long is any of the Guardian Angels Medical Service Dogs training? On average, I think it's just under 2 years of training that they get before they're paired up with a veteran or first responder in some cases. The next question I got is number 5. What age do they start their training at? The average is somewhere between 5 and 6 weeks, from what I understand, is where they begin the training. They actually have these certain tests that they use. It's like playtime tests, and based on how they react during these things, it gives them some insight into what they think that they may be best in serving for medical conditions. Yeah, I think that pretty much explains it. Number 6, what has she been trained for? So Foxy's been trained for a number of different areas or medical issues. And for her, one is PTSD, and this would include things like night terrors and hypervigilance. She's been trained for those areas and other things within the PTSD category. She also picks up on sugar issues. If my sugar levels get too high or too low, she will immediately alert to those as well. She's also been able to pick up many times on before I get vertigo. If you've never had vertigo, your vertigo involves your eyes just going back and forth, and it's like the room just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. Good example might be back in the day, maybe when you were younger and you used to drink a lot and you get the spinnies. It's sort of like that, but the only thing different is your eyes flicker back and forth. She also has picked up on heart issues. And I say this because I didn't know that she had that training, but we had been in the hospital and we had been there for about a day, 2 days, and my neurosurgeon came in and she was up on the hospital bed with me, and all of a sudden Foxy sits up and she starts to cry, and she's looking at me and she's looking at the surgeon, looking at me, looking at the surgeon. And I looked at him and I said, "Sir, are you okay? She's alerting, something's wrong. Are you okay, sir?" And he had one of those watches that you can look down and see what your heart rate is. And he looks at it and he goes, "Well, I'm a little tachycardic, that's for sure." He says, "My heart rate's sitting at about 175 beats per minute, which is astronomical, as you know." And I said, "Sir, are you okay?" He says, "Well, I just ran up 6 flights of stairs. I just ran in here." And I said, "Okay, that makes sense." But the fact that she was able to pick up that there was an issue going on with his heart is pretty remarkable, and I had no idea she could do that. The next question I get a lot asked is, what are some of the notable things that Foxy has done for me? And I have a term I call the BFF, which everyone knows what BFF stands for, but in my case, it's blood, fall, and fire. Yeah, really weird 3 to bring up. Okay, so the first one is blood. One night, she started alerting to me, and she just kept alerting, and I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was. I wasn't having vertigo. I knew it wasn't my sugar because I know how I get lightheaded and issues when I have sugar. I felt really tired, but I just was not sure what was going on. Well, this was when we first were paired, and I knew that I needed to do something. So I went to the hospital as I'd been trained, and come to find out, I actually had some internal bleeding. It wasn't overly serious, but it could have been. And she had picked up on the internal bleeding. So that was the first one. That's where the blood comes from. The second one is fall. Well, this one was pretty cool. Well, not cool, but it was kind of funny. So Foxy and I tend to go on very early morning walks, and that's because of the fact of her long hair. And it does get pretty hot during the day, and I try to keep her out of the sun to protect her as well as she protects me. And I was walking, and all of a sudden she did a dump, and I had to pick it up. And I reached down to get it with a bag and everything else, and all of a sudden my vertigo hit fast, and before she even alerted to me, I went down hard, and she knew I was hurt. And not hurt, my pride was hurt, so let's be real. And I did bounce. So she has a technique that's called brace. She helps me with my balance. It's one of the areas that she's been trained. So she went into the brace position. I was able to put my arm on her shoulders right here in this area, push down, and get back up to my feet. However, I was having the flicker in my eyes, and we had to make it our way back home. And we had been working on a new training technique where anywhere along our route, I would say home, and she knew, okay, we're going to go straight back home. That's it. We take the shortest route back. And I gave the command home. And if you've seen some of the other pictures that I have, either on our website or out on our Facebook page or one of the others, she has a strap that's strapped from me to her. And I could push down on the strap. She put pressure on it enough to give me that extra balance I needed, and slowly walked me all the way back to the apartment. Without her, I would have just have to sit there and either till the vertigo stopped, which could be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, there's no telling, or someone helped me back home. So the fact that she got me home, I thought was pretty remarkable. And then the last one, not the last, but this is the other one from the BFF, was fire. And of course I just gave it away by saying that, but it was around midnight or so. All of a sudden, I had gone to bed. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. I had taken my medication, which I have certain medications I have to take every night that the VA has given me. And normally I try not to take anything that's going to knock me out too much, but I hadn't slept in 2 nights, and I really needed to get a really good night's sleep. So I turned around and I took my medication that helps me sleep. So when I took it, it knocked me out. I mean, I was out cold. And I'm sorry I digressed a little bit, but my tremors started to kick in. It kind of throws me off a little bit. But back to where I was. So I took the medication. That knocks me out cold. Well, right around midnight or so, all of a sudden I feel paws standing on my chest and licking on my face. Obviously it was Foxy. And I start to wake up, and the first thing I say is, who the hell is testing the fire alarm at, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You don't test the fire alarm at midnight. So quickly I got up, I got her vest on, we got out of the building, and as we were exiting the building, there was people outside yelling, get out of the building, it's on fire, and there was fire trucks all up the whole area around the actual apartment complex. So needless to say that she woke me up in that event. Now, I didn't have any damage. There was no damage to my apartment, no smoke, nothing. My apartment wasn't affected. However, when you think about it, it could have been devastating. if I didn't have her, or she didn't wake me up, and it did turn out to be a bigger fire, and it turned out to be smoking, smoke and everything else, yes, definitely, she would have saved my life in that type of a scenario. So I think that covers 3 areas I'll talk about. In other upcoming videos, we'll definitely be talking about more things that she's done. And also we'll be talking to other people who have service dogs and what their dogs have done for them. Let's see, now the next one is number 8. How long have you and Foxy been together? Foxy and I were paired approximately 2.5 years ago. It was around the time of COVID. Originally we were supposed to be paired in March, but because of COVID everything was stopped. And they turned around and we ended up having to wait till May. So we got paired in May. What they did is they brought Foxy, and there was, I think, 5 other service dogs they brought up. We ended up getting a hotel that they rented out that allowed just to have us there in a certain training area, and that way we had the masks, did all the other stuff. We went through our training because we get trained as well, because we've got to learn how to work with the dog, how to train the dog, and those are other things we're going to talk about in the future. So 2.5 years ago approximately. Number 9, what did Foxy do before being paired with you? Because as this question comes up, because we've only been together 2.5 years and she's 6.5 years old. Well, the one thing I do know is that Foxy was involved in Sandy Hook. Guardian Angels had taken her down to help work with the kids, because it definitely was obviously a big impact and PTSD that the kids were feeling. It was so bad that 2 of the youngsters couldn't go back to school, wouldn't leave their house and so forth, and I believe it was 2. And Guardian Angels ended up donating 2 dogs, 1 to each of these kids. And from what I understand, they're doing very well. They're back in school, and they have their service dogs. Now, if you hadn't realized, a service dog costs $26,000 to train. That's approximately, could be 25, 27, all depends on the dog, but approximately $26,000 to train a medical service dog. So before that, Sandy Hook and everything else, I really don't know. She could have been with a vet, and that vet might have passed away, possibly, because, and that's going to lead us into the next question. So I don't know before that for sure where she was at. My guess would be another veteran, but I'm not absolutely sure. And then, of course, number 10. Number 10 is interesting because I don't think I've been at an event that they haven't asked me this question, and everyone's been so kind and careful how they ask this question. But it always comes up, what happens when Foxy or myself pass away? And they always go for if Foxy passes away, thinking that she'll pass away before me. And hopefully she doesn't. Well, if Foxy was to pass away, what they would do is Guardian Angel provides me a new service dog or another service dog at no cost to me. Usually their turnaround time is 2 weeks. So they always have dogs that are in training. And they would provide this dog at absolutely no cost to myself within approximately 2 weeks after the passing of Foxy. In the event that I was to pass away, I would say depending on her age, she would go to another veteran. If she was at that age of retirement, then possibly she would go to another home, a foster family or something like that. She would go to another forever home that would be set up for her. In fact, I've asked in the event that she retires or something happens to me, I've asked Guardian Angels if they would consider sending Foxy off to my daughter and my grandchildren. Be a great place for her if it's retirement time and she's not going to another veteran. So that's all 10 of the questions. And I can't think of anything else. So that's it for this edition. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Take care.